That's thank you.
You're welcome.
More, please. More, please. More, please. I like this. I like when we
Are
talk
y'all
about
gonna get a
me.
room?
I mean, I keep trying to talk him into moving in with me, but he won't.
You really want me to move in over there? I got rabies.
Everything still sound good on your end, Chris? I've been jacking with
Yeah,
stuff.
sounds great.
Graveyard.
Okay, good
He
deal.
sounds
Uno,
good. now.
dos,
Really good.
tres.
Yeah,
Cuatro, cinco,
sounds
cinco,
amazing.
seis.
Dinkin. That's
I'll
what Dinkin
probably-
does.
Yeah.
I usually, when we start the show, is I bring the intro down because it's usually pretty loud, so it doesn't kill all our ears, and then I'll bring it up once we get going.
Cool.
So if you hear a little bit of a fallout, that's why.
And you can go with Happy Tuesdays and
We'll do Happy Tuesdays and introduce,
ourselves and what our mission is,
the reboot.
our manifesto.
Ambient.
Did we write a? Yeah. Did we?
Dark ambient manifesto.
Did we write a manifesto for the show?
I'm going to the eye
That's a cool
doctor
band
in
name,
a
though,
week, and
Manifesto.
I want glasses like his. Do you
Those
think I
are
could
good
pull those
glasses.
off?
Yeah. Why not?
Just
They're
wondering.
not that different from what you have
His
on.
are thicker.
Just Ray-Bans.
You can do that.
They probably got some fake ones at Costco.
I'm going to the
You can
eye
get the
doctor.
Costco version of
You
Ray-Bans.
can go to McFrugal's if one is still open.
Good grief. Let's just start this show.
That was the coolest thing I ever got from the Eagle, Chris, was those Ray-Bans we gave away for the the Men in Black.
I don't remember that.
They were sponsored.
I wasn't
by
supposed
What'd
to
y'all
take
do?
any.
Just take stuff out of the prize patrol
No.
Said he
closet?
wasn't supposed to take
No, I had a
any.
friend named Chloe that gave them to me. He said I'd done a good job that day. Hey, take you some Ray-Bans.
I had a friend that worked at Sunglass Hut, and he stole so many pairs of sunglasses.
Really?
Wow.
That would be what you would do at a sunglasses hut, I think.
Scourge of
I
suffering
remember his
from
boss
Australia.
named her son Trent for Trent Reznor. We all had it was like back in high school, but we all had a huge crush on her because she was kind of like this metalish kind of chick. We were just like, "Oh, is your boss working? Is she there?"
All right, 8 o'clock.
You ready?
8 o'clock. It's time for Street to Rock.
Everybody ready? Everybody good? Check in.
Rock and roll.
Hello.
Red leader, the scold leader. All right, here we go.
Lone Rangers, let's do it.
This episode of the
Guys,
is brought to you by
Geist Note.
and
Victor Wrench.
and Plastic Object.
This program contains graphic material, including offensive language. Viewer discretion is advised.
Rolling.
Let's see how many subgenres of heavy metal you can name.
Okay, there's power metal,
Glam metal. Hair metal.
Thrash metal. Ambient thrash.
Progressive metal.
Stoner metal.
hardcore,
Grindcore. Deathcore. Death metal.
melodic death metal,
Goth metal.
Dark metal.
Doom metal.
Satanic metal. Funk metal.
rap metal,
Symphonic metal.
melodic metal,
Laptop metal. Cinematic metal.
New metal. Folk metal.
Old metal.
shred guitar metal.
Show number 378, technically speaking, of the Jerry Jonestown Massacre. But tonight, it's the reboot of the Metal Show.
Yes. The Metal Show.
Happy Tuesday, Matt.
Happy Tuesday, Dustin.
It's been a long time since we put one of these together.
Yeah.
We kind of fell out of, I don't know, just stopped doing it for some reason. Why did we
Ooh.
stop doing it? Where we just kind of forgot about it?
Laziness.
Got into jazz.
We got laziness, and then we started really listening to acid jazz
Yes.
and the weird. We started throwing in some, I don't know. I don't know where I'm
Flamenco?
going with it. Maybe, yeah, some of that.
Yeah, yeah.
I got really confused on where we were going after all that.
Rodrigo
But
y
anyway.
Gabriela.
So the in COVID, let's face it, that's all we've been talking about is that crap.
Yeah.
And riots and all kinds of stupid stuff.
Yes.
So-
Everything that's going on in the world. So we kind of got away from the metal shows, but we decided to reboot it. And we thought we would do it with a friend of ours all the way on the other side of the Metroplex coming at us, Mr. Chris Ryan. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you doing this evening, sir?
Excellent. How are you guys?
Good.
We're doing
Good.
good. We're doing good.
So you're in Collin County, right? That's
Collin
right,
County.
Collin County. So,
How's the heat over there?
Pretty hot.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Collin County. You're still able to go to restaurants and stuff, and no bars though. Bars are shut down. So, how have you been
Yeah,
surviving, Chris?
It's hard with 3 little kids, but hanging in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You playing any Xbox with the kiddos or?
Xbox, Switch, water balloons,
Yeah,
Legos?
Legos.
Yes.
Yeah.
Legos.
The
Whatever
key
it
to
takes.
happiness is
Yeah.
Legos.
Did you do the Starship during COVID?
Yeah, that Star Destroyer
You should
took
have
me
sent a picture of that to Chris.
a week and a half.
Yeah.
Yes. I got the Collector's Series Imperial Star Destroyer with 46,000 pieces. Or it's actually 4,600.
Yeah.
I always add an extra 0 for some reason, but it's gigantic and it's out here in the shed with us. I'll have to.
Yes.
Yeah, I need to see it.
So Mike Patton is the voice master of metal, right? And Chris is the voice master of voiceovers, if you didn't know that. And you listen to our show. He's a local legend. He used to work for Clear Channel at the Eagle. You were assistant program director for a while, right?
I was program director for
Oh, that's
5
right.
years.
Yeah. After they fired me, he was he became the program director.
You were the program director of the Eagle?
Yeah, and he took my place. He was like, "You got to get me out of the way so he could get up there." So, but yeah, so he has a lot of metal experience, and some cool ass stories that you'll like to hear when we talk about some of these bands. He's a nice dude too. You're a nice guy, Chris.
Thank you.
And
So
now
are you guys.
you're working at the you're doing the voiceover stuff for Dragon Ball Z, but they're on hold because of the COVIDs. Are we allowed to say that stuff? Or you want me to shut up?
No, you're good. But I'm not on Dragon Ball. But
Oh, I
same
thought you
company
were.
That does. No, I'm not on Dragon
Dude,
Ball.
I've told everybody that I knew some dude that freaking was doing voiceovers at
That's
Dragon
why
Ball
you
Z,
need
man.
a fact checker in your life. Like,
I
period,
do
that
need one.
walks around with you and just
Right.
checks things out and makes sure you're right before you start telling
Buzzer
people
sound,
weird
like,
shit.
no,
Like
you
a
gotta-
bullshit meter.
Yeah,
Yeah, there
Just
you go.
bzzz. So
Nope, 'cause
are you
those would
working?
break on an hourly basis with you?
Yeah, it would totally. So are you working on any projects right now that are in production still and still like being done, or what are you doing, man?
You talking about anime?
Anime, yeah, all that.
Yeah, anime. I'm on a show called No Guns Life, which is really cool, and I'm on One Piece, which has been around forever. So
I know One Piece, yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, I've heard it, yeah. I haven't seen it, but I've heard of it. A lot of people talk about
Is
it.
that code for Dragon Ball Z?
no.
Has your work
Maybe
slowed?
if you say it enough, maybe they'll put me on there.
Dragon Ball. Do you want to go on there though? Like, are you guys competitors?
No, it's the same company.
Okay, cool. I don't want you to start any static with you guys, anime people. That's seen.
Has your work slowed down any because of COVID or anything? Or are you,
You
still
know,
able to do stuff?
I've lost some things, but then I've gained some things. So even Steven, pretty much. Thank God.
It's kind of like weight with COVID. You know, you lose some weight, you gain some weight, and you gain some more weight.
Yeah, you go to rehab, you come out of rehab.
You-
Yes,
yeah.
that's kind of what it's been
You
happening.
become an
with me.
alcoholic, you
come back.
then sober
You
up,
find
and then you-
Jesus, and then it's
you lose
Buddhist.
Jesus.
Yeah, you lose Jesus. Yeah, then it's Buddhist.
Yes.
So, well, cool, man. We are honored to have you on the show,
Thanks for having me.
man. The crust of this whole thing is, like he said, we did a metal show. What has it been, like 2 years now?
I think our
Did we
last
try
one
to
was
go down
like
this?
a year and a half ago.
That's all on COVID.
It was just us. No,
No.
other things came up,
Yeah.
and we kind of went across the wayside. But I think what we want to do, right, is
Once a month.
once
right?
a month we're going
If-
to try to do.
Yeah, if Chris is all right with it. If
Yeah.
he doesn't quit mid-show, which I'd already be about to do it.
Like
I could
it's
work for
easy
Dragon
to
Ball
quit
Z.
when you work when you're connecting with us away from here because all you got to do is just pull the plug and walk away.
At any moment, he could give us the bird and be like,
Just-
guys, I'm not feeling this.
yeah, this ain't working. Hang up. Done.
Yeah, I'm going to go do some Legos.
Also joining us tonight in studio, of course, is Brian. He's been with us the last few weeks,
Yeah.
occupying his time
Nothing
during
else to
COVID since
do.
there is no stand-up comedy happening anywhere.
Or job or
Yeah.
baseball to watch.
Well, how's the job searching going, man?
Actually, I
Everything cool?
might have my old job back. I think I pretty much do.
The
Just gotta
uh,
see
the smoking
how
one, right? You
that
go smoke cigarettes?
No, I
that
give
one,
out
right?
I give out coupons. I
Oh,
smoke
yeah,
cigarettes
that's
in my
right.
own time, but
Yeah.
we're probably going to get back to work here in a few weeks.
So you deal cancer.
You
Only-
deal death,
I don't
kind
give
of,
a shit.
in a
You
way.
do
man.
deal in death.
Don't you, Matt? You give out beer.
Oh, yeah, I guess you had a
so
point there.
Y'all both
We
deal.
all fuck the planet in our own special way. So
Oh,
Mine's just
y'all
very-
deal in vices.
It's a kid-friendly
Mine-
show,
yeah,
man.
exactly. I deal in vices,
Yeah.
and I help promote alcohol by doing stand-up comedy
you
in
go.
places that sell it. So
Yeah, any shows coming? I guess all shows are put on a
Yeah,
lockdown
that's-
right now, huh?
they're actually like the Improv's doing shows. So
Just-
that's weird. I saw
Gotta be
Fred's
six-
post about that. and
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, okay.
Okay.
Cool.
And then also joining us
I hope you get the job, man.
is
I got it.
good friend and frequent visitor of the temple, Miss Susie Ramon.
Who is?
Well, she's in here doing something, but do we talk about it yet?
No, I was gonna. I mean,
Oh,
you forgot she has the award for being the coolest
Person,
woman in the earth.
2019's coolest person in
In the
Tarrant
earth?
County? Or
Is it limited to Tarrant County? You're only the coolest person in
No,
Tarrant County.
it's just coolest local celebrity of all time, really, basically. Because after I won the award, they did away with it.
there was
Oh.
no need to do it ever again?
There was no need to do it ever.
Or
again.
it was highly sexist
Yeah.
to have a man and a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that what it was then?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like you and Tony Green, right?
Yeah.
Y'all are the reigning champs.
We're the reigning champs.
And you're most famous for your metal show attendances, right? Like that's what you
Yes.
do is go to metal
That's
shows.
what people know me for. That they think that Susie Ramon, she's so metal.
Yeah. Susie Ramon, right? Yeah.
I'm the fact check and go. No.
What is it? The fact check false.
You should see her when she teases her hair up real big.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like
And-
Cece DeVille.
And gets ready to go to her
The
80
Wayne's
shows,
World
you
Extra.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A Twisted Sister.
Did you ever
and Quiet
interview
Riot.
Cece DeVille, Chris?
No, I didn't.
Oh man, that'd be some. Well, I know you did Bret Michaels, didn't you?
I'm sure I did. I don't recall. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it some.
I got on
Eagle
stage with
show.
them a long time ago. Robert Miguel got me on stage, and I had blue hair. It was at. It was when it was still called the Starplex or
I thought you were
Coca-Cola
gonna say that's
Starplex.
when I
I
still
think.
had hair.
That too.
Wow.
All right, wait. I've hurt my feelings. All right, Dustin, tell us how we're going to start doing this thing, and let's get into the meat and potatoes of the show.
The
Well-
meat and bread.
I figured we'd start back at the beginning and kind of maybe here at the beginning, kind of get to know each other. Not that we don't know each other, but kind of spill our beans on how we got into metal, how it affects our lives, and what we dig. And then
Yes.
kind of what we're going to do is we're just going to lay this out. There is a website you can go to called Map of Metal, and it's a cool ass map that's just kind of laid out over Europe of different metal genres and how they came in by year or decade. And if you look up Map of Metal, it was created by Patrick Galbraith and a metal historian, Nick Grant, and it kind of shows how we've always talked about that metal has so many subgenres, it's insane.
Oh.
And I don't think there's any other main genre of music that has that many subgenres.
Yeah.
I'd say punk is a distant second.
Well, punk is kind of included in some of this hard rock and metal.
But even like in their own,
The-
there's not that much like folk punk, but there's a folk metal.
Hip hop has some subgenres
Yeah.
that are pretty prevalent, but not like this. Not
Not
where there's
that's-
like 6 pages of subgenres.
I'd say even
so-
hip hop's more geographically defined by its genres, because even that's so is metal, but like you can have an American black metal band, stuff like that. But like rap,
Yeah.
hip hop, it's like those Houston beats,
Dirty South
Atlanta
beats.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Your Atlanta
I'd say
beats.
it's more
Atlanta, East Coast, yeah.
geographically defined.
But
So-
metal's insane. Like, what do you think, Chris?
Yeah, it is.
Would you say there's any other music genre that has this many subgenres?
Well, I don't know enough about other genres to know, but yeah, I can't imagine.
I thought you were a huge country fan.
I mean, not
Country.
huge. Huge is a big word.
I'm just throwing that out there.
Is country?
But
well,
I would
guess
think
it is.
country has bluegrass and I don't know,
Like
bro
was it
country.
Red Dirt?
Red
Red
Dirt.
Dirt country, yeah,
You got your
Gospel.
yeah.
gospel.
But the main point being on this metal thing is we're not going to touch every single genre, so don't start blowing up Dustin with emails about, hey, you missed the crotch rock genre or anything like that, because, I mean,
there's a few that we're
When it-
going to have a lot of fun with.
Yeah,
When
for
when
sure.
we get to like hair metal, that's a lot of fun.
and we're going to educate you. We're going to let you know what you're listening to.
Yes.
What type of metal? I don't know why I just transformed into Mr. Metal Professor from, I don't know. I'm going nowhere with this. So.
So I kind of wanted to kick it off here. Like, We'll go with you, Matt, first.
Me
Yeah, why not?
on the where I started listening to metal.
No, like what
the
was
show
the
notes?
first heavy song you remember hearing as a
Okay.
kid? And it doesn't have
Mine's
to
a
be
little
full
different.
metal, but like what?
Mine wasn't either. I went on a huge Michael Jackson phase when I was a kid. Like I got way into Michael Jackson. Like so much to the point where I would put a glove on that my grandma made. And remember the drug marts in in Arlington and stuff, those huge drug emporium
Yeah.
drug stores. I would go in there with my mom and grandma and do the moonwalk around the whole thing in parachute pants and my little glove and my Michael Jackson T-shirt.
Are there photos of this?
There might be somewhere.
There
I know
needs
the
to be.
glove is still around, but when Thriller came out, my mom bought me that album, and because she liked Michael Jackson. Eddie Van Halen played on "Beat It," and
That's his riff. I was about to say because "Beat It" is a sweet fucking riff.
I don't know if he wrote the riff, but he had a solo in it too.
Okay. Okay.
And when I heard that guitar solo, I was immediately like, "What is that?"
Yeah.
And I still was, that got me into kind of like Van Halen and stuff. And then I went on that same summer, I went on a trip with my grandma to Padre Island, and there was another family. There was a bunch of families there, and one of the families had a bunch of teenagers, and they were rocking this stuff that they called hard rock and metal, or heavy metal, and they made fun of me because I wore a Michael Jackson shirt every day. But they also opened my eyes, and because they were playing Twisted Sister, and they had a Twisted Sister. The one with was the one with the first album that really broke them. The
Stay Hungry?
Stay Hungry. They had Stay Hungry. They had Shout at the Devil by Motley Crue, that album, and then I think it was Quiet Right, Metal Health, and that's all they played. If I tried to say, "Hey, I got a Michael Jackson tape" or whatever, they'd be like, "Get out of here!" Like you tardo or whatever. Oh, sorry, I promised I wasn't going to say it.
Whoa.
But that's the language they used back then.
Yeah.
Actually, they called me something else, but that was way more offensive. But and I got my feelings hurt and ran away on the beach. I was going to go to Mexico and listen to Michael
Your
Jackson the
modern
rest of my
metalheads
life.
Would be like, let's crank that shit.
Yeah.
They would love it. They would enter rotation flawlessly.
So, but I got my feelings hurt, but I also fell in love with everything they were listening to. I loved that Shout at the Devil cassette tape. I immediately went home and bought it at the age of I don't know, I was like 6, 7, or 8, somewhere in there.
Does that open with Shout at the Devil? Does the album
no,
start with
remember it's
Shout
got that speech from
beginning.
In the Beginning.
In the beginning, that's right. That's right.
Which was that Anton LaVey or some satanic priest or something, or was that just one of the jackasses in the studio, like the one of Vince's buddies that he didn't kill?
Jeez.
Sorry. Anyway, so that's what that was my introduction, and it only grew from there. Then I, did the '80s metal thing for a good chunk of. I still do it, and then next thing you know, I got introduced to some stuff from the West Coast, like Pig Children Tribe, which is a punk band, and then all my good friends started discovering metal around the same time, and then I discovered punk with DRI, and it just started blossoming out of control. And then Appetite for Destruction came out, and that's when all hell broke loose in my mind, because it was right around the same time as Injustice for All came out by Metallica, and then by that time I was fully involved and wasn't listening to any Michael Jackson at all anymore, and just rabbit holed and tried to listen to every single metal band I could ever hear.
And then you
So
turned your back on the king of pop.
Yeah.
It happens.
I was that age, though, where I should have turned if you know what I'm saying.
Whoa. How about you, Chris?
Well, when I was young, my mom listened to music, and so I heard all the 60s heavier stuff, like, Born to Be Wild, things like that. But it was probably, around 83 or so that I went to stay with my cousin, who was 7 years older than me, or 6 years older than me, and he had the first 2 Motley Crue albums, and we played those nonstop the whole weekend I was staying with him. I just fell in love with. I really liked the first album, the Too Fast for Love album.
Yeah.
So when I got back to my hometown, which is a small place, I went to Walmart to get it, and they didn't have the first album. They had Shout at the Devil, so I went ahead and bought that, and from then on it was all 80s hair metal for me, up until and Justice for All was my first dive into Metallica, and then from that was probably Cowboys from Hell.
Yes.
Would have started leading me down a heavier road, and then bands like Faith No More. So that's what did it for me, man. But most of the '80s was, I would just go into the record store, and if they had cool hair, I'm like, I'm buying this band.
Did you ever like cruise through and look at the album art or the album cover and be like, yeah, this looks cool, this looks heavy, this looks evil?
Well,
I'm gonna buy
Poison's
it.
first album didn't look evil at all, but I bought that on sight.
'Cause he thought it
alone.
was
I'd not heard
women?
a song off of it. I'm like, yeah, this is right up my alley, I'm sure.
It was because you thought they were women, right?
Oh, one of them was hot. I wasn't sure. It
These chicks are
was
hot.
a different time, man. It was a different time.
Yeah.
That's what I can't wait till we start talking about hair metal. That's gonna be so much fun.
Yeah.
There are
Hair
lots of
metal.
experts.
I'll take a smoke break when y'all do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to get. I want to get angry. Because I think
Which-
it barely classifies as metal.
So I'm gonna.
It should stay in the rock.
I agree with that.
It should stay in the rock category.
So I'm gonna take this timeout on the how we got introduced, because I'll forget this. Did you guys see this week on, I think it was Blabbermouth or what's the other Facebook or the other
Loudwire.
Loudwire, that Great White played a show,
Oh yeah.
and
That band gives no
no
fucks.
6 feet distancing or anything. Did
Oh, yeah,
you
yeah, I
see
did
the
see that.
comments under that about like everybody's like, oh, I guess they're
They
that,
knew what they were doing.
do you think so? That was a publicity thing, that they're just going to be
Had
the
to be.
band that kills people?
There's no
Yeah.
way anyone in that band could have been like, yeah, people are gonna talk about us killing people again. They're like, of course they're gonna do it. Like, someone had to have known
They
that.
got some balls.
Someone in that
They did
band
the show, so it's not
is sick and demented and has fun with this. Kind of like
Yeah.
something we do.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll get to Great White too eventually at some point. What about you, man? Because you came from a kind of a religious background.
Came from heavy religious background.
Yeah.
I when I would go out to as a kid, I would listen to a lot of pop stuff, and it was same thing: Michael Jackson, the Jackson 5, Madonna, all that stuff. And I would go out.
You don't strike me as a Madonna person.
It was
Dustin.
just it's what was on, like, I don't know, at the time, what was it, like Y95 back then when I was a kid, was the big radio station around here?
You didn't hear him on Z-Rock? Or hear her on Z-Rock?
No. I didn't hear Madonna on Z-Rock.
Oh.
But I would go out to West Texas and hang out with my cousins and stuff. They'd be playing, like, heavy stuff, crazy heavy stuff at the time. And to this day, I don't know what they were listening to. I have no clue what they were listening to, but it was crazy heavy.
Like heavy, like Slayer, or even heavier than that?
Heavier than that. It was
wow.
weird shit they were getting a hold of, these weird tapes. But you're also closer to Mexico, where there was a big metal scene and all that stuff.
Well, that's racist.
How is that?
Geography's racist.
How is geography
Wow, man.
racist?
Dustin, what year was this?
Man, it was probably like 83, 84.
Maybe that's
85,
Venom.
Like somewhere in there.
Yeah, it could have been Venom.
Venom, Pentagram.
It could have been, but I've never been able to like correlate what I remember hearing in my head to finding something that sounded like it. So I don't know what they were playing, but
That would keep me up at
like
night.
my mom, what turned me on to heavy music and guitar-driven music was my dad was a big Rolling Stones fan, my biological dad, not my black dad or my stepdad.
Okay.
But my biological dad, huge Rolling Stones fan, loved them, and Rush fan. And he actually toured with both the bands, being a photographer for them. And
For Rush and for the Rolling Stones?
yeah,
I bet he's got some cool pictures.
if he could find them or
Uh-oh.
wherever the hell they are. Yeah,
Oops.
it's kind of weird. But so he was always like playing records and 8-tracks of those when I would go see him or spend time with him.
Ah, the 8 tracks.
But then my mom was a huge Fleetwood Mac fan, but even huger, and this is what turned me on to like
Huger.
heavy guitar stuff, was The Who.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
the first time I heard, as a young kid, hearing Baba O'Reilly or Won't Get Fooled Again blew my mind. I was like, how is all this working?
Yeah.
Like, how this is ridiculous. And like at the end of Won't Get Fooled Again, you know, you hear Roger Daltrey scream. You're like, did that guy just die? Like what the hell is this? And so she was a huge Who fan, which as I grew up, I found out she
Uh-oh.
kind of toured around with them when she
Oops.
was when she graduated, which is kind of weird. But she keeps saying I could be a Pete Townsend's son. We don't know.
Okay.
We need to do an ancestry.com thing.
Which reminds me, are there groupies
Susie,
anymore?
look
Is
up
that
some
still a
early
thing?
pictures of Pete Townsend.
Are there still groupies, or is that not a metal
Yeah,
thing anymore?
there
Oh, there
is.
are.
I mean, we know
I think
one.
the last time. Do
You're
we know
obviously
what?
not
We
in an
kinda know one.
active band, man.
I think the last time I saw groupies just hanging out was Korn. They did a show, and I was seeing they got interviewed, or it might have been by Chris, but they had I swear it looked like a full
Well, didn't they tour with
pornographic.
strippers?
That's exactly what it looked like. It looked like a whole A team of the lodge.
Yeah, that's why they all had their own buses.
When
so they could
Jonathan
bang
married to
stripper.
a stripper and the rest of them were dating strippers or something like that? Or
Man, I
porn
don't know.
stars?
I
Or
don't know.
porn
Korn
stars?
was your band, man.
I don't know. So anyway, that was
Good
always...
segue to me.
I thought that was amazing. Was like, the Who
So-
was badass, and then I slowly, like, I still stayed in the pop realm until, man, it was when And Justice for All came out. Everybody at school was listening to that, and I was like, all right, I'm going to give this a whirl. You know,
That
let me
record
borrow a
was
tape.
big.
And it was ridiculous. You hear one, and you're like, sold.
Oh yeah, and then
When was
MTV.
that?
Metallica.
That was the other thing about the Injustice for All album and the Appetite for Destruction album. That was in the heyday of MTV, and when the one video came out, you were like, oh my gosh, this
Yes,
is
it was
whew.
badass.
Yeah.
So then it was thrash metal and hair metal was what I was into because it, like you said, Appetite for Destruction came out right around the same time. I was way into that. Totally dug that, and then my best friend at the time, his brother, tossed us a tape and said, "Listen to this. This will change your life." And it was Ministry's "Mine Is a Terrible Thing to Taste."
So you started listening to industrial stuff.
And that changed my entire musical outlook. And then I was looking for stuff like that. I was like, well, first off, the album kicks off with Thieves, and you're like,
Yeah.
what the hell? That's so fucking fast at the time. You know, it blew my mind. And then I remember right around the same time, getting ready for school, we had my parents finally splurged and got cable. I think they sold their encyclopedia set so we could afford cable. Maybe the vacuum too.
The
And
whole household dropped 15 IQ.
yeah, we had Cox cable.
Sir?
Yeah. We had MTV for the first time. I remember sitting at the table, eating my breakfast, getting ready for school, and the Head Like a Hole video came on,
Yeah.
and that was the second phase.
Your
that
story's
changed
kind of
everything.
cool the way you got into metal because you almost found followed the progression of metal development in a way.
Yeah.
Like what I did, I went back. Like I got into metal and then started going back and trying to find. Like I heard Ozzy, you know, of course. And then if you hear Ozzy, you immediately start getting into some Black Sabbath. And you get okay, now you're listening to Black Sabbath. And then I started diving into there's this band Led Zeppelin that my parents listened to, and that sounds pretty cool. And I'd go down that avenue. And then
What's bad
the
as a
Who,
young kid, though,
you went it the right way.
like when I was younger in my teen years, where I'm being rebellious and all that, listening to this stuff.
When you were living with your black dad.
Yeah.
Okay.
What didn't work out in that scenario was the aspect of I didn't appreciate Black Sabbath. I was like, this stuff's too slow and stupid and sounds like shit.
Oh.
I didn't appreciate, the early Iron Maiden stuff or the Cream and all that, the forefathers of what
Yeah.
became metal. I didn't like it because it sounded like crap. That first Motley Crue, the Too Fast for Love, I was like, what was
Ooh,
this
I love
recorded?
Too Fast for Love.
Was this recorded in a cardboard box?
Yeah.
When you compare it to Mine Is a Terrible Thing to Taste, to that,
Yeah.
Justice for All, I had no idea there was no bass in it at the time. Now
So-
I can be angry.
Yeah, you were going on about some of the gnarly album covers. You were asking Chris about that. Did you see this album cover? And did some of the reason that you didn't like Sabbath and Iron Maiden, did that have any religious connotations that you thought maybe, oh, I shouldn't be listening to that?
See, the whole
that's
religion
why I
thing,
don't
there
like
was
it.
one thing that was great for that my mom always, no matter how religious I was brought up and how much we were told, don't listen to Metallica, don't listen to Iron Maiden, don't listen to Ozzy, they'll lead you to suicide or you'll become, corrupted with their thoughts and all
Judas
this
Priest
stuff.
went to court, I think, because of suicide, didn't he?
Basically the whole Footloose scenario.
Oh, yeah.
Is what you're looking at.
Yeah.
What was cool was my mom was you listen to what you want to listen to. You listen to the art you want to listen to. The only thing she didn't like is excessive cussing from like rap or gangster rap. And she's like, as long as it doesn't have that, I'm fine with it.
Did she listen to Appetite for Destruction?
Well, it's all like hidden here and there. I mean, Mr. Brownstone's pretty blatant, but Rocket Queen's kind of,
Yeah.
out there. But I never really listened to Rocket Queen because I didn't appreciate it back then like I do now. Or My Michelle, I didn't really appreciate that
Yeah.
like I do now.
Yeah. Another thing that really, I think, blew my mind was MTV's Headbangers Ball. That show, I had to watch Headbangers Ball every single. It was like, was it Saturday night or Friday night that it was on? It was like,
I don't remember. Was it both nights?
it might have been, but Headbangers Ball changed my life too. I wanted to see. I had to watch the interviews. I had to watch every single video, and then even to the point where they did the top 10. Remember when they would do the top 10 every day on MTV?
TRL Live?
No, before that.
With your Backstreet Boys videos?
It was before that, but you hating on Backstreet, man?
No.
So, but I would sit there and watch it and watch all the videos just because I wanted to see Stryper do To Hell with the Devil or whatever song they were doing, and Poison do Nothing But a Good Time. And
Such a fun song.
yeah. So I think that helped my metalness too was MTV. MTV played a big part. That, and I masturbated a lot. I'm going to admit it now on the show.
How about you, Brian?
All right, so
Because you're younger than us.
yeah,
You are younger.
for context, I am 36. I'm the only person in this shed and on TV that's under 40. So I started high school in
Well, how do you
1999.
know? Why are you attacking Chris? You don't know how old he is.
I'm
Look at him. He looks like he's 27.
Oh, well, yeah, but through contact. Anyways,
Okay.
I started high school in 1999, just so we get where I'm coming from.
When'd you graduate?
03.
Damn.
Brittany years.
There you go.
Dang,
yeah.
dude.
So
3.
my best friend is a massive 311 fan. So easily, and he got into them in junior high, and so did I. So easily, that's an easy skip. Hops, not even a hop, skip, and a jump. It's a hop into new metal. It was like freshman, sophomore year. I won
That one,
tickets off the Edge to go see the first Family Values tour, which was headlined by Limp Bizkit. So easily dove right into new metal.
But you got to see Rammstein, too.
No. It was the second Family Values tour,
Oh,
which was in order: Primus, Stained, Red Man, Method Man, Filter, Limp Bizkit.
Okay, that's the one. Okay.
Great lineup in opposite order. Primus should be the headlining band of all that, which I did see Primus on their own years later. Anyway, so new metal, that was my thing. Limp Bizkit, Korn, because being that age,
Kid Rock?
I
They all
had
named
that
after-
album. I
all
had
named
that
after
fucking
food?
album.
The ba wa da ba.
Yeah, I had
God,
that
that
album.
drove me- that song
and then
drove me
also
nuts, man.
Deftones. And from all that, I still love the Deftones because they're actually like an artistic, creative band and evolved with their sound and are still great to this very day. But they unfairly were lumped in with the new metal thing because there's a little rapping there, but also they were a bunch more punk leaning. But new metal, I was more attached to like the rappiness and like not so much the sweet riffs, which there are some here and there, which I think all metal boils down to sweet riffs, like especially the kind I like now. But then high school, I kind of switched best friends. Got a new best friend. Kind of fell out for a brief
You
moment.
can't
with the
have
other
multiples?
I have two best friends, and they're like my only two friends to this day. Everyone else,
I'm your friend.
are associates. along the way.
Acquaintances.
There
Oh,
you go,
I'm an
acquaintance.
acquaintance.
We're
So-
associates.
Other best friend, or new best friend, he was into punk. He's like really into like Husker Du, old school punk. And me and him went to some Warp tours. So I was just like, oh, I remember a $10 special day at a CD warehouse. I bought all these $10 Epitaph albums. Started listening to a lot of punk. And maybe some metal still thrown in there. But then later on through high school, our buddy Andrew Savage, who he's in this really good band now called Parquet Courts. He started at the time he was in a band. He started getting into hardcore, and I remember me and him going to Good Records to specifically like we ended up buying a Converge CD, and I think that's when I was just like what?
Jane Doe.
No, it was a earlier
Before
one.
it?
Called,
Okay.
with some demos called Unloved and Weeded Out.
Oh, okay.
Early shit. I wish I would have found Jane Doe a lot earlier because that to me is just. So I found hardcore. I think I had Hate Breeds Perseverance, which was just. Oh god, yeah, that is just.
Dun, dun.
That just makes you sweat toxic
Yeah.
masculinity. It's amazing. It's it's like oh yeah, and then then they have I think Carrie King's on a song in there, and then I found out I worked at FYE senior year and the year after that, so I was getting just free random CDs that they would play, or sometimes they wouldn't even play because no one put them in there. I wasn't in charge of anything. And I remember getting a Kill Switch Engage, Alive or Just Breathing. And I think that's what started me with, like, I was like, oh, shit, like metalcore. And I was just like, oh, give me double bass, give me breakdowns.
You like machine guns.
Just give me all the... And it was also cool that, not Howard, their first and also current singer, Jesse, it was cool that he could sing, too.
I like him.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
thought he was
I
cool.
still dig it. And then, which I think is the best metalcore band of all time, Unearth. Just fucking love them. And that's I stayed in metalcore for quite a while, and then I finally branched out into more, kind of backtracked and got more to like Sabbath, kind of catch up on them.
Yeah.
Older Metallica, because I just I don't hate the '90s Metallica now, but I can. I can make fun of it, but I can also respect it because I'm an adult. And of course, being a true blue Texan, finding out more Pantera songs. And no offense, Chris, but like "Walk" is one of the most boring goddamn songs.
I love
And
Walk.
I can't. I don't want to hear it ever again.
No, it's boring as shit.
I don't want to hear it.
But it's fun to punch
But
someone
the
in
Eagle,
the face.
the Eagle that
in
would
the
play
pit.
would do its damnedest, and I feel bad for the DJs there that were just like, I know there's so much.
I feel
more
like you're
better.
attacking Chris.
There's
No,
one right there.
I know that they're like, I have this album, I fucking rock it, but I have to play Walk again and again and again. In Cemetery Gates is great, but you're like, man, I would love to play I'm Broken or any like. And you have to. That's when you have to buy the album and realize, oh,
Yeah.
you're not even being played the best shit.
I want to play
And
by
you have
Demons
to
Be Driven.
You have to scrounge together
Hollow.
$15 to unlock this amazing album, and it's like Cowboys from Hell's amazing album. But it's like, oh shit, there's domination and all this shit that you have to get the money to or get someone to burn the CD for you, and the radio can only do so much. And I feel bad.
Wait, you're part of the Napster generation and all that. Why
Oh
don't you
yeah,
just
yeah,
go
yeah.
steal
No.
it?
Oh, well, you also have to, have a CD burner thing or have a friend
yeah,
with
that's true.
that.
So
shit
those
costs
core
money.
bands.
I know we're surrounded by technology and your shed does it, but some of us had to wait until we had those capabilities.
I
which
sold
I did.
a lot of
Oh,
encyclopedias
dude,
for this
at
shit.
some point, my parents got me and my sister a computer each, and I was just like, damn, y'all really splurged here. And I was able, and then Napster, iMesh, LimeWire.
Yeah.
I'm surprised our computers still functioned after a certain point of time.
You're the reason.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I don't know if
music
you've been
industry.
watching, but
and then I burned all the, and then it was. What were you gonna say? And then
Oh, I was
I'll
just
get
gonna
the
say,
real
Death
crux.
Wish is like these
Wait.
core band
about the-
labels and stuff.
I was just.
They're putting out a lot of
record
stuff.
Labels.
Yeah,
that's where the internet really helped me sink my teeth.
Well, because of COVID, they're
so-
putting out a lot of cool stuff, like auctioning off a bunch of, like what's that shoegaze metal band that we like that
Death
has
Heaven?
some Death Heaven.
Definitely.
They were giving away a bunch of stuff from them, Converge, like all of the
Dude.
all the major hitters of Death Wish.
And thanks to like not just like
'Cause of
Napster and
COVID.
all that, because Napster you have to find something and they might trick you. I'm not sure if you remember like the Napster descriptions where it said for fans of, and it would be like Korn, Limp Bizkit, Deftones, Powerman 5000,
And it's some
Spine
guy's
Shank.
shitty garage
Yeah.
band.
And they trick you into hearing their band, and like that, you're like, oh fuck you, and you can't, delete it immediately. But then
That
I
was the
would
early
get-
version of pop-ups.
yeah, and that's when you're just like, I don't want to hear your fucking band. But then record labels, you go on their website, you download an MP3 from a band that's never getting any kind of radio play. You go to websites like Death Wish, Equal Vision, which put out early Coheed and Converge, and all
Relapse.
these great. Oh,
Yeah, Relapse.
you
was
find those
samplers.
contamination, fucking samplers. Then like you download
Or
the
a Dufort
MP3s
sampler.
and you put that on a
Which I found the other
CDR,
day.
and then you get a real good. You hear early Mastodon, early Dillinger, fucking Today Is the Day.
Did
like,
you-
real
did-
hardcore shit?
Brian, did any of these bands that these like post metal and all these core bands ever? Did you ever hear something in it that you might have heard in a classic rock band or something? Then you went back and started listening to any of the like Leonard Skinner or
Nothing
know.
that really drove me. It was just kind of my
Led
general.
Zeppelin?
Did you ever go from Hatebreed to Leonard Skinner?
yes.
Not naturally. I love Skinner
You don't hear the
now.
influences from Leonard Skinner in Hatebreed?
As a kid, hear blasting Perseverance. It took me a while to hear. Of course, I heard like I didn't think like, oh, it sounds like Give Me 3 Steps. Like I'm not making that connection.
I'm just messing.
So
with
you never went from Unearthed to Roy Orbison.
Who would do that?
I was just wondering, like,
They're both great. I love them.
You
both
mean
now.
All Pigs Must Die? You've never gone from that to
They're so. I saw them.
to
Man.
Pink Floyd?
No, why would I do
well,
that?
that kind of works.
Yeah. All right,
two,
Susie.
Two different
you're
drugs,
up.
man.
You're up, Susie. What's the most metal band you've ever listened to in your whole life?
I don't think I've ever.
And tell us how you got introduced to it.
To say Rush.
You've never listened to metal. You're not a metal fan.
Well,
That's a microphone. You can talk into it.
yeah.
You've
no,
done podcasting.
I know.
You have your own podcast.
I know. You know me. I grew up listening to hippie stuff. I listened to the Mamas and the Papas and Simon and Garfunkel and stuff. And then when I was like 8 or 9 years old, I have a brother who's 10 years older than me, and he brought home a B-52s album. So I started with new wave, And-
this is going to lead to metal. I mean,
and
right?
then
We've got a long way to go.
and then like a year later, he brought home this band called Suicidal Tendencies.
Ah, there we go.
There we go.
Ding, 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 ding,
Yeah.
ding.
And
Oh,
that was
perfect.
really when I started listening to punk rock. Really was that was what I stuck with to Husker Du.
What, that
and
Orange County punk stuff
yeah,
that
it
was
was
out
all
in Orange
like
County?
West Coast
Gotcha.
punk rock stuff.
So
So and then it took me until I was like maybe 10 or 11 or 12 before I heard the Ramones for the first time.
Yes.
I hate
And
them.
then I fell in
The
love.
Ramones?
with the
I'm not a
Ramones.
fan, dude. I've
Good
never-
Lord, man.
I respect what they're about. Their music, just musically, I'm like anything else, please.
Yeah, it's like 2 chords and
Give
3
me
minutes.
the Stooges, God damn it.
But then in high school it was all hair metal, so I listened to it.
What is one of the hair metal bands that stands out that you really enjoyed listening to?
Oh gosh, Def Leppard.
Oh, yeah. That's the first time someone's mentioned Def Leppard.
Rock band, they're a rock.
Def Leppard had cool album covers. I remember. Do you guys remember? I bet Chris remembers this. Do you remember when Skaggs Alpha Beta used to have a record section? They would have vinyls. They'd
I
have
remember that. They had
do
an
you remember that?
entertainment center in the front of the store.
Yeah.
Them and Tom Thumb did.
Is
it.
Bon
would have-
Jovi hair metal? Because
Yeah.
I listened to a lot of them too.
I don't rock.
They had a Star Wars game
That's me
and a bin
hating
of
hair
records, and they had metal records. They had Def Leppard. They had Judas Priest. They had. I remember Iron Maiden. Seeing my first Iron Maiden album at
I
a
listened
Skaggs.
to Ozzy Osbourne a lot when I was in middle school.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because the boy I
Nope.
liked, his name was Chris. He listened to Ozzy Osbourne.
One thing I do like about hair metal is how it was this very masculine androgyny that was just like not to like to get a line from Charlie Murphy's Real Hollywood Stories, like all the like describing meeting not Charlie Murphy, Rick James. It's like all the dudes look like bitches, but the hair metal was like I got my hairspray, and I got my big hair, got my tight pants.
Yeah.
But I'm totally in this for the pussy, and it was just and then
Sir?
but then girls liked hair metal too,
Yeah.
and it was just kind of like
That whole scene was
oh
crazy.
no, and this is all I've had to see in retrospect. Again, I was born in '84. I've had to. I'm like I get it. I respect
the
hair
peak.
metal fully. Turning into that lane of just kind of like, all right, the chicks really probably aren't into Sabbath, maybe not so much Judas Priest, maybe some Judas Priest. Iron Maiden's like, all right, we're totally gonna write songs for chicks to get chicks, and that's what all of us are gonna do in this decade. And we're gonna be on blow the whole time. We're gonna fucking party. We're gonna take some people out. We're gonna take some friends out along the way. And Van Halen probably did it.
We're
We're
gonna kill some lead singers.
Oh yeah, I respect it. So you know what? I'll eat my own words. Hair metal is hair metal because of how fucking party and rock. Yeah, I'll give them. I'll take away my bullshit of like it's not real metal. What the scene, the vibe, and what they're about was fucking metal. The music, I'll be like, man, more rock and rollish and whatnot. But damn it, if that wasn't metal, of how fucking hard they partied.
Chris,
for an
did you ever
entire
have big
decade.
hair, man?
I had long hair. I didn't have big hair.
You never did you just kept with the
Never
Peter Steele
teased it
look?
up, no, because I didn't grow my hair out until probably 93 or 4.
Oh, see, that was grungy then.
Yeah, I was grungy. Got grungy hair.
Yeah.
But did you wash it?
On occasion.
Oh, okay.
So, Chris,
no, still Pearl Jam. Pearl Jam still rock the long hair. Yeah.
What's your favorite subgenre of metal? Where do you land in all this?
Well, I mean, currently it's probably more, Pantera, the groove metal kind of deal. It's just something that connects with me with that, I don't know if Faith No More is metal. I don't know, but I love what
They're
they
like the
do.
only funk metal. Like if someone says funk metal, they're like Faith No More and maybe
I think-
Primus or something.
see, I think-
they're
I think
funk.
Faith
They
No
had that
More
one
is-
song that had a pop and bass.
I think
but
someone said funk metal, and they're like, "Oh shit, we have to throw in bands in this genre I made up." And then they'll throw anything that sticks, like a Primus or that. And I'm like, I still
Right.
don't know what you mean by funk metal.
I think Faith No More. See, I have a different opinion on Faith No More. I think they were more. They're one of those bands
Art
that
metal.
that have their
Yeah.
own little genre. Like
Yeah.
there's Faith No More, and then there's the rest of metal. Kind of
I would
like
even
I
say
love
Gwar is
I
art
love
metal.
Faith No More.
Well, you've got a ton of people that find Faith No More as an influence. A lot of modern metal bands that if you
Especially the new metal
look into their
bands.
stuff or read interviews or stuff, they're like, well, Faith No More was a huge influence on me. Living in California, coming up,
Yeah.
building this metal band, Faith No More was a huge influence on me.
That's
Which
what
is
I hate
funny.
about radio is they played Epic, but I'm like, and the Faith No, it took me
Why do you keep attacking radio?
because I know
We invited
did
Chris
a
on
good
our show.
job.
We've got a
No.
radio person on here.
I know. I want to say I know you guys were sitting there just like I know
Ryan
so
sounds
many
like every
fucking,
caller that called me in the 90s.
Why don't you play the good shit, man? I called into a radio
Play
station
some corn.
once, and I played. I told them the 5 songs they played, and I won Family Values tickets. So I was just like,
Well, it's not
that
like-
and 100. I know, but like all I knew about Faith No More was Epic, and I didn't realize they had all these other amazing songs. Again, it cost money, but then to buy the CD, and then
And then
I
you
was,
listen to it, and you're like, this is a work of art.
oh yeah, but no, I didn't buy my first Faith No More album until like 2 years ago at Docs. I bought Angel Dust. And I was like,
Well,
Fantastic
did you
record.
know that
I was
Faith
like,
No
this
More?
is good. I'm like, it didn't like blow my mind. I
You
was
know
like,
why it's
oh,
called
this is
Angel
good.
Dust?
I don't know, because they did Angel Dust.
If
maybe?
you listen
No,
to it,
Mike Patton's
if you
sober.
listen to it from front to
He didn't
back,
do nothing.
all the way through, it's supposed to feel like a trip on Angel Dust.
So one unique
That's
fact
why
about
it didn't
Faith No
blow my
More:
mind.
did you know that Mike Patton's not the original singer, and Mike Patton's
yeah.
his baby of a band wasn't Faith No More.
Mr.
It
Bumble.
was called
Mr.
Mr.
Bungle.
Bumbles.
Nope, not
Now-
Mr. Bumbles, but
Ian's friend Steven.
that's the cover. That's the cover
he was
band.
huge into that.
That's the cover. Mr. Bungle band is Mr. Bumbles.
I
Yeah.
saw a video of them playing at their high school talent show.
Yeah.
And
So-
you do Mr. Bumbles to date people.
Yeah.
What?
She's
Is
talking
it- is
about
that
the
like a
app that I
dating
use
app?
to go.
Oh my gosh. Where are
Why'd
we
you
at?
let a chick in here on this episode?
So the another thing about Faith No More that why they got lumped into that funk metal band stuff was because of who they were hanging out with out in San Francisco at the time and playing shows with. They got lumped into a lot of that stuff because of, like, if you remember, Red Hot Chili Peppers were coming up at around the same time, and so they were out there playing. And a lot of people
okay,
compared Mike
yeah.
and what's his
Anthony
Anthony
Kiedis.
Kiedis. Yeah, they would
I
compare
saw
them.
Anthony
That's an
Kiedis
insult
at
to
a
Mike.
gas station
It is an
one
insult
time.
to Mike, but the Faith No More is probably one of the most
retrospect.
influential bands like in my life. That's another. We'll get to that. I guess when we start getting into that '90s, early '90s stuff, because that was another change. Because that's when I started straying away from a lot of the stuff that was played on the radio and started going down another path that led me to the devil.
90s metal
we-
is kind of a wasteland.
If we consult the book of knowledge here,
Yes.
which is Wikipedia, Faith No More, they put them as alternative metal, funk metal, post-punk, and experimental rock.
I guess the funk metal
can see
song is
that.
that one.
Yeah.
That one song, that second track on the Real Thing, what was it, Chris? The
Epic?
not the one after Epic, the Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
That?
Yeah, but they also had "We Care a Lot," which
Yeah,
was
We Care a Lot.
before. That was kind of funky.
Which
We
is
Care a Lot is very funky.
that's a good album. That the what is it that song that I wanted to cover, Dustin, the Spirit. I love Spirit on We Care a Lot. That's one of my favorite rock tunes. The do 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 do
Falling to
further
pieces.
down the road. These are the tools you'll need.
I think we have the vocal track
further
now.
down the road. That's a badass song, man.
We'll just take that,
That's a
clip it
badass
out,
album.
and put it over it.
That We Care a Lot. That album with what was the first singer's name? His name was
Chuck Mosley.
Chuck Mosley, yeah.
Also, Dillinger
Passed
Escape
away.
Plan ruined Faith No More because
no.
no, it's a compliment because I know the connection there, and I can't remember the name of the.
But
EP.
you listened to the Mike Patton EP?
Oh yeah. But also just the and I understand how much of an influence they were, but it's like getting into sex, and it's just like Dillinger is like total fucking dominatrix shit. Was just like, hey, do you want to have sex on a chair and be adventurous? You're like, that's not going to do it for me. That's what
He was kind of doing that as a favor, though.
Oh no,
Like it was
no.
a-
It's just Dillinger Escape Plan is so fucking wild and insane, and
Yeah.
so it's such my shit. And I hear Faith No More, and I'm just kind of like,
But you know what that is, right? That's the perfect meeting of East
Oh,
Coast
oh.
meets West Coast.
oh really?
Bam.
Okay. Oh
yeah,
it
you
was
had
great.
Mike Patton from the West Coast. You had Dillinger Escape Plan from the East Coast.
I just wish. Also, I got into Korn, but I also fell out of favor with Korn so fast.
Nobody likes bands
And-
from Bakersfield.
And also, I knew how much of an influence Faith No
Thank you,
More
Chris.
was on Korn that I just never really wanted to check them out. And none of my friends were like, hey, none of my friends, I don't think had a Faith No More album that I could just buy and listen to. So I'm
Well,
just,
I would've gotten new friends.
I really miss the wave.
So subgenre with you, Matt?
Man, I think probably the one that I've geeked out the most on. I guess Faith No More is just Faith No More to me, but the one that I've geeked out the most on would be prog, like prog rock and prog metal. Those are the
Scale
two.
the Summit.
Now, where are you putting prog? Are you throwing Mastodon in there? 'Cause
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
sludge prog.
Absolutely, Mastodon and even Baroness, bands like. And then as far as the rock, the prog rock, I love. Like I think Rush is prog rock actually.
Oh yeah.
And
totally.
like Crimson, King Crimson, stuff like that. Prog is cool to me because it doesn't follow the, intro, 2 verses, pre-chorus, chorus.
Hear any Cynic?
Yes, I love
Cynic is
Cynic,
great.
yeah. Which is weird because they tour with
Sometimes
these death metal
prog
bands.
bass gets on my nerves. Just how like, like, and it's just like I can almost hear
Yeah.
it too much. But it's different because it's so much different from bass in most metal, which is just
Yeah.
muffled.
And then I also like
to quote
um,
Metal Alchemist, we're gonna
like a lot of
bass on it.
a lot of just
We're gonna
just
turn it down.
straight up the butt metal too. Like I don't know, well not metal, but like rock, hard rock. I love like the '90s alternative. That was huge for me when Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains started dominating music and
Which,
and
for some reason,
Soundgarden.
if you look at the map, grunge does fall under metal. Like it shows it as shooting off
I could,
in
Yeah.
its own
yeah,
little
totally.
area.
like I
'Cause
remember,
you got like Alice in Chains was
I'll
a
back
metal
that.
band.
Yeah,
you got
they're-
Soundgarden. They were kind of.
Lane Staley's voice was just another guitar, a heroin-fueled guitar.
I don't know if any of y'all have seen it, but there's a video floating around that that just got released. It's never been put
the
out
Phil
or whatever,
doing.
but it's Phil
yeah.
Anselmo doing Wood
Oh really?
with Alice in Chains,
Oh, killer.
and Duff is up there playing guitar too.
I thought that had come out some. I
I
thought
don't-
that was out.
It's
a
making
while
the
back.
rounds again.
Who's
Yeah.
Duff?
And it's so
Is he
good.
their singer?
Bass player from Guns N' Roses.
Guns N' Roses.
Oh, okay. See, I know like
But he's playing guitar.
3 Guns N' Roses.
Did you ever get a chance to interview Lane Staley, Chris?
No. In fact, I never saw them live with Lane.
Oh, really?
The only time I saw them was Lollapalooza.
Yeah, I had
that
tickets
was
to
a-
that show, and I didn't go. Regret.
It was so badass because that's the only time I've ever seen a band like drop a cargo net across the front of the stage, and Lane climbed up that cargo net and just hung in it the whole time, singing.
He didn't come down at all.
Here and there, like he'd come down and walk over and climb back up, and then come down and climb back up. But it was very weird and cool.
Like what they had in gym class. I
Yeah.
love the cargo net. That
Yeah.
shit was so
That
fun.
Lollapalooza, what was it? Was wasn't that the same one that
Front 242 and
in
Tool and
Tool
Dinosaur
played it, yeah.
Jr., Primus.
So is industrial
Did Pearl Jam
a
play that one?
subgenre
Totally.
of metal?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
It
my
falls in.
favorite subgenre.
That's what I grew up on.
Yeah.
It was industrial.
Yeah.
And then now,
I had a Gravity Kills album.
okay, you just stay over there.
Nice.
Wow.
So,
Aren't
but,
they? Are they the ones that did the?
I'm guilty.
Mr. Dead Man.
but-
No.
but, like,
That was
And I'm
Union
guilty.
Underground.
There's
San Antonio.
Oh,
Turn
you
me
want,
on,
you want
Mr.
some
Dead Man.
obscure new metal bands? I know way too many. Like, give me a sec, it'll pop in here. But Gravity Kills had, and I'm guilty.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That song
Yeah.
was probably in like 3 movies in the 90s.
Yeah.
That was,
But,
that was a soundtrack.
You know, I mean, just starting with like Bauhaus and My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult, and then going
My
through.
Bloody Valentine.
You're kind of getting in goth into industrial. Yeah.
Right, yeah, and then into Front 242 and Nitzareb and.
So
all
you
those.
already said
Industrial.
industrial.
Now I'll still listen to some industrial here and there, quite a bit, but doom, sludge, I'm all in. But all of a sudden I've got on this kick. Of course, I have reasons for listening to it, but listening to all this metalcore and post-hardcore stuff, now
Yeah.
I'm going through it, and like I said, there's reasons. But it's really turned me on to some of that stuff that I just kind of on when it came out, or
You
some
got
of the
into
bands I
Dragon
just
Force
got-
yet?
Dude, love me some Dragon Force.
I saw Dragon Force open up for Kill Switch Engage at
Really?
at
The Bronco Bowl.
no, not the Bronco Bowl.
That's where
What you know about the
well,
Bronco
you
Bowl?
see everybody at the Bronco Bowl.
I did
You're
see a
like,
lot
I
of
saw
shows
them
at the
when I was-
Bronco Bowl.
yeah.
That was one of the coolest venues for and for a what you say like 10 years. That was one of the best venues to see a show.
It is, right?
was-
We can all
Was it
agree on that,
literally
right?
a bowl?
That's where I first
Like
saw
the
311.
Hollywood Bowl?
What'd you think of Bronco
No,
Bowl, Chris?
They had bowling alleys there.
Oh, it was a bowling alley. That's funny.
I'm pretty sure my dad bowled there and probably had no idea that there was a music
no,
venue there.
this is what my biological dad said about the place, because he used to go there way, way, way back, is that the reason that stage was there and the way the clamshell went around, met up to the stage, is because there used to be 4 bowling lanes going down there, and they would have national bowling tournaments broadcasted live
there.
there when bowling was huge.
Yeah, in the 70s.
And you'd have crowds come in and sit. Well, then when all that died down, they tore the lanes out and put a stage.
Yeah.
And then they still had the regular bowling alley in the front, and of course the greatness of the Canyon Club.
Yeah.
Was that the party
where
in the
someone
back?
interviewed the singer from Disturbed and he demanded to have some water, and I went and got him some water, and he didn't take one sip of it.
Did that bother you?
What's wrong?
I was
yeah.
perturbed by it.
You were would you say you were disturbed by it?
There you go. That's why we
Thank
brought Susie
you.
in. Is that
Thank
right there?
Did it?
Very much.
Did it bring you down with the sickness?
Yes.
You know what? I hate Disturbed now, but their cover of Shout goes hard. It
Okay,
goes hard.
what brand
Shout.
are you drinking?
I'll take
It was on
anything
their
out of there.
first album, and it was like a little diamond in the rough. Where like, my best friend Anthony, he can do David
Now,
Draymond's voice.
This is not the best friend you switched out for another best friend.
This was the 311 best. This is the oldest best friend who's massive 311 fan, can do a great David Draymond voice. And if you can too, use his voice and sing any popular Alanis Morissette song.
I saw Alanis
goes.
Morissette in
I just
concert.
hate it about it, I hate it. It works. Just try it. It's I can't do it
Ooh,
justice,
Glenn
but
Benny.
it's really good.
Nice. So what
But
about you,
their cover of Shout.
sir?
is good.
We hit him up first.
Did you guys hit him up first? What
The
did he say?
subgenre.
Oh, sorry. I've been drinking.
So, Chris, since you were in the industry, can we rely on you being a historian at all?
For things that were played on the radio, yes.
Yes. Did anything really beat you down?
The things you had to play.
Like music you like?
Did you just
Oh,
no,
yeah.
just like.
Did you ever want to
metal
go rogue
songs.
and play like you know an album had a really fucking good banger on it that you knew it would give them like 5 times as many fans or something? Did shit like I got to play this again when I know like there's like 3 songs off this album that are just so fucking awesome. Like I try
No.
to put my
No. Is
Yeah,
there
'cause
any
y'all got
freedom
sweet
to do stuff
paychecks.
like that?
I
Right?
get it.
There isn't, is
Well,
there?
y'all have
What's
to
that?
play it.
There's no freedom to be able to do that, is there?
Yeah.
I mean, I had a local music show, and I had freedom to do that. But yeah, during the day when I did my show, there was no freedom. But
There was none.
I mean, I knew what I was there to do and what I was paid to do, and that was entertain between the tracks.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do this. Since
Which I
you did
respect.
have your local
I just-
show, local metal band. Do you have a favorite of those?
I don't know.
Or
I
any?
think about it.
Terra, man, Terra.
Besides Terra. That's a national local band.
Oh,
but,
okay.
like,
I want to
There's
shout
a band
out.
called Tara.
I want to shout out my buddies in Secret of Boris.
any Ugly Mustard? Because that
Irving.
was back in those
Irving
days, right?
Yeah, yeah. I played a lot of Ugly Mustard, and those guys are great. Yeah, I loved Ugly Mustard. That
Brutal Juice.
You know what mine is?
I saw Brutal Juice at the chat room pub.
Matt is a huge Aska fan.
Hey, no, Course of Empire.
Solinger.
I loved,
Solinger.
yeah, Solinger.
Oh, Solinger.
Hey, be hating on Solinger.
Is he still fronting Skid Row?
No.
I don't think so.
He's not? Okay. I haven't even looked into that in like forever.
Hey, we didn't even mention Skid Row when we were talking about
Hair
coming up
metal.
in the hood.
Well, come up in hair metal, right?
So, mine was
I've heard
Course of
some Skid
Empire,
Row
though. I
songs
loved
that were-
Course of Empire. They were kind of alternative, kind of industrial, in a way. But
Yeah, I would say they were industrial. I don't know if they were metal, but yeah.
I loved them.
Course of
That was
Empire's
one of my
amazing.
favorite bands to go see at Trees, and Rick's up in Denton.
Love them. They were industrial. They were our local industrial band.
Yeah.
Them and Ugly Mustard.
Didn't they get signed to? It was TNT, wasn't it? And then went on tour, and then all of a sudden decided they were done,
Yeah.
or the singer did, or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
they
I
had some
love them.
label issues.
Yeah, and then I don't know, there was a lot of cool metal bands. What is the guy from War Beast, his first band?
Rigor Mortis?
Rigor Mortis.
Yeah,
I
Rigor
loved
Mortis.
Rigor Mortis.
Yeah, huge.
Oh yeah, you'll see them on a list of like.
Yeah, they were fun. They were fun.
Drowning Pool.
The Drowning Pool, which got signed to Wind Up Records.
Oh, Wind Up. They did
Our
get some-
buddy.
I think Gravity Kills was
That
on Wind
sucked.
Up.
Been playing shows and stuff, and all of a sudden they get a record deal, and you're like, what the fuck? They were good,
Well, who
though. I
else
love
was-
Drowning Pool.
Element 80 was around that time.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Chris remembers Element 80.
Yeah. They were great. What happened to them?
I don't know. What
Remember
did
they had
happen
that
to
one
them?
song. They had that one song that would go dun 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 dun, and then in the middle of it they'd go, "You can suck my dick," and everybody would go. Everybody would sing it at the same, like in unison. You're like, okay.
That's a.
They're from
Dallas metal
Tyler
band
though.
for you.
How about
Do we get to call them DFW?
Yeah, that works.
How about
Alright.
how about that metal band Steadfast?
Yeah.
They were
Those
great.
those were the pioneers of Texas
of
metal
local-
right there.
What did I used to call your band? I can't remember. I had a name for it. It wasn't
Ah, man,
Steadfast.
y'all had a bunch of names for us.
I used to put those stickers all over the fucking.
I sure did.
Sounds like he wasn't a big fan.
Everybody's like, "Who's that guy, dude, with the blue hair?" I don't know, but he likes to put these stickers up everywhere.
Chris, here's what's funny is I was going through some boxes the other day of some videotapes. I haven't told Stubbs this yet.
Uh-oh.
But I found a videotape in it with Steadfast and Waja and Pump Jack, I think. Is
Pump
is
Jack,
like this
yeah.
show. And
Huge.
at some point, I'm going to
Burn it?
transfer this digitally, and there will be a Steadfast show floating around YouTube with Waja.
Secret of show.
It's gonna blow
I
up.
see. What,
Yeah,
okay,
be
what's that name?
huge.
Waja.
Yeah.
I see those stickers. 'Cause
Waja.
I live in Arlington, and my job.
Oh,
is
yeah,
taking-
they stickered the shit
I-
out of everything.
I see it on so many cars, not just
Oh, really?
cars for the most part. So many, and I was just like, who is this band? What is this band? And of course, it's like, especially around the mid cities, I'd see it on. There's always like Rob's Billiards, and I'd always, anytime I go there for my job, I'd see that on there. I was just like, what the fuck is this band? Are they even around anymore?
So, the very first metal band, let's get into this. Some of this pre-metal notes you got here. You have The Who, The Kinks, Jimi Hendrix, Cream, Iron Butterfly. I remember being played all the time by my mom.
Now,
She
this is-
loved Iron Butterfly.
This is like the late 50s, early 60s is when, there's a big argument about metal. And we kind of talked about this first time we went around with this. A lot of people will argue that Helter Skelter is the first metal song.
Sorry, nothing spelled.
Okay.
Definitely has a cool lick, and it's definitely aggressive Beatles,
But
but
there's a lot of stuff that's even
I don't think it counts if you're a pioneering legendary band accidentally discovers a genre in a song.
well. Then even
you
a
need to
lot of people.
devote all the
that was
songs to the
1968 when it came out. But then
Those
a
are
lot of
heavy.
people will point to the Kinks and
Yeah.
"You Really Got Me" as being the first metal song because of the way the structure of the song was done, the heavy overdriven guitar, which was a lot of people were experimenting with then. Pete Townsend, Jeff Beck were kind of screwing around with that.
But it all had to do with bands that were transitioning from like clean blues licks and trying to find a heavier sound out of their amps, distortion and stuff.
Well,
and
it was a time where I think there was like a big dick contest of who could
get the
play
dirtiest
louder
sound
and faster and
Yeah.
harder, and even the drum patterns started changing around then. It started getting more complex, a little more crazy, faster.
Yeah.
And then someone
Keith
decided,
Moon.
hey, can I put a second kick pedal down here and have
That
a
blows shit
double
up?
kick? And
Didn't
blow
Keith
things
Moon
up?
blow something up? Like blew out his band, like
He blew
someone's
out
ears
Pete
in the band, right?
yeah,
Townsend's.
Pete Townsend said he's deaf from put an explosive in.
Yeah.
Was that on a TV show? I don't remember.
I feel like it was. I remember seeing video of it. I don't know what it was from though.
Yeah.
So the thing was to get as much overdrive and distortion out of your amps. And the thing is, they didn't have distortion and overdrive pedals back then. So what they tried to do is create as much distortion as possible by cranking. And I guess that's where the big dicks came through.
And a little amp company decided to
Marshall
come around and start making amps a little different.
Yep.
Where you could really crank shit up.
Yeah,
And that was
Marshall
Marshall.
definitely had something to do with the progression of hard rock and metal, I would say, for sure.
Chris, were you ever a fan of the 13th floor elevators down at Austin?
I mean, I just know them from reading history. I don't. I couldn't name a song. I know that Rocky was the leader of that band, but no, I don't know much about them. They were more Pink Floydish, right? Than
Yeah, more psychedelic.
Metal.
Yeah.
But then a lot of people are pointed them as an influence of how their psychedelic rock started
Right.
making people wanted to clean things up and be faster. Like they were
Right.
doing experimental stuff, but
I feel like if you want to point at something and say, "Here's where it started," where somebody put it all together and packaged it, you have to say Sabbath, right? I mean,
I think that's where everything points.
Yeah.
It's Sabbath or Deep Purple, Cream.
But if you read an interview, the thing that's cool about rock and roll and the history of it is when you see an interview and read it about how Tony and
His fingers.
Ozzy, all of them got into playing like that. They all say their influences were the Beatles.
Or Deep Purple.
And Deep Purple, right.
And Blue...
And the
Cheer.
blues,
Blue
period.
Ch-
All
Blue
the
Cheer.
blues.
I think we could render this entire podcast useless if we just say Black Sabbath. Yeah, we just like fucking yeah.
I would say, that's where if you look and read at anything modern, everybody points at Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
And then what's crazy is, like you said, Tony, you were joking about his fingers.
Oh, that to me is just when I first heard about that, I was just like, holy shit, that made him play a certain way, which created this certain sound. And
But
I'm no musician, but
do you
I'm
know
just
how
like,
much that actually contributed to the sound? Like how
Just the
just
licks, the
having
riffs.
those three.
I figures, yeah.
So
expand, please.
a few years ago, my band, I wasn't in it at the time, but they decided to do Black Sabbath. They did a cover. And our guitarist,
he cut his
Dave,
fingers?
decided to cut his fingers off. No, but our guitarist,
dedication.
Dedication.
He was trying to play everything normal with 5 fingers.
Yeah.
And he couldn't. He said he couldn't get the sound right. It didn't sound right.
Yeah.
And then he was like, "I'm gonna just see what this does with 3 fingers," and it was on.
Wow.
And it's just like, really? That
What
doesn't
song
make any
was it?
sense to me. They did an entire set of
wow.
Black Sabbath stuff for Halloween. They all dressed up and pretended they were Black Sabbath.
You're talking about the spectacle.
The spectacle, yes.
Yeah, it's definitely. I think everyone would agree. All metal fans said probably the biggest, the one that's going to stand out the most on the Mount Rushmore. Can I still say that on podcast? By the way,
We haven't torn it down yet.
okay.
I mean,
But
they
it-
haven't
You
torn it
can't
down.
tear that shit down.
But
you have to
the
fucking
the
nuke
one that would be for like up front would definitely be Black Sabbath. I think in metal.
What about number 2?
Well, and they also, another thing that we'll say about Black Sabbath is that if you read any of the documentaries, which one of the greatest documentaries to watch about metal is A Headbanger's Journey
Mhm.
that used to come on VH1. Did you ever see that, Chris?
I don't know. I don't know that one.
So you can still watch it on YouTube. I think there's an account called Banger TV. It's
That's
what
the
this
one with
dude
Blackie
did.
Lawless in the pool. like drinking.
I think so.
That's
But
Jack
Decline
Daniels.
of Western
Oh, that's
Civilization.
Decline
that
of
is
Western
Decline of
Civilization. Yeah, that's it.
no, this is a guy that wanted to go and scout out metal and break out the genres and go through them. It's the guy that did the interview with
Gorgoroth?
with Gaul.
Gall. Okay, yeah.
The Satan.
That is a good one.
Satan. It's that guy.
Satan.
You know, he did a whole series that would, on VH1 on Saturday, they'd play them all back to back.
Yeah.
But he did a whole thing with Tony talking about Black Sabbath, and their sound also had to do with where they lived, because that was a shitty
Yeah.
part of London.
I
It
think
was
I
dirty and
Industrial.
nasty, or Birmingham, wherever they were from, but it was
Rough
industrial and dirty, so that reflected in their music. at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Also, their imagery. Black Sabbath changed the game with their imagery, I would say. They played. They once they started, they realized that they had some marketing genius with the name alone, Black Sabbath. Then they started using it on their album artwork and all their promotions. I think
Did
too.
they do the trifecta? Was the song Black Sabbath on their? They have a self-titled, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was the song also in the self-titled? I say that's a band trifecta. When it's band, self-titled, and you have a song named after the band.
I think it is.
That's a
That
3-pointer.
takes some balls right there. That's a metal hat trick right there.
Birmingham is
Which
where they're from.
I will
Yes,
also say
Birmingham. Thank
hockey
you,
is the
Reboot.
most metal of sports.
Yeah, it's 3, 3, and 3. They did the trifecta.
Maybe
Okay.
we'll do a whole show on hockey and metal.
And
that's
metal.
played
I'm
at-
I'm only saying that because of how many Nordics play. Even like here in like Dallas Stars. One Pantera did the Dallas Stars, but not even just that. It's apparently like a lot of Nordic hockey
Al
players
Jurgensen did
blasting
the
black
Chicago
metal.
Blackhawks theme.
So
oh really?
Yeah, the
Oh okay.
while we're still geeking on Black Sabbath, what's your favorite Black Sabbath album?
album.
Yes.
I don't know. My favorite song is Super Not, but
Yeah.
I like the 1000 Homo DJs industrial version of it with Al and Trent singing it.
Always leads back to industrial with you.
It
doesn't
always
it?
does.
I'm gonna
Sorry.
be snowblind. What's the?
I'm gonna say Sabotage. I loved Sabotage. That's when I thought Black Sabbath really started, like, playing what we know as metal. Like, it just got turned up. It seemed like they were angry then and got more aggressive, and just I love that whole album, front to back.
Angry doom metal band. Better watch the fuck out. It's like we
Chris,
might
did you have
to
a
play
favorite?
A little faster.
Yeah, I think I like Masters of Reality as a full album.
Yeah,
Children of the Grave. I love that.
Children of the
song.
Grave
Oh,
was awesome.
that's
Yeah,
so good, yeah.
What was War Pigs on?
that was Master
Sa-
Reality, wasn't it?
Paranoid.
That
Oh,
was
Paranoid,
on
that's
Paranoid,
right.
Okay. But
Masters of Reality was a good one too. But
My buddy
They-
got me into punk. We were listening to a Black Sabbath album in high school. We are just like, Paranoid's a punk song.
yeah,
We reverse engineered. We're like, oh, we discovered something.
all right,
can
you're
do
up,
that.
Susie. What's your favorite Black Sabbath album?
Oh my
I'm
God.
just kidding.
Just say the new one.
Yeah.
The
one
most
that-
recent.
the one they put out last year.
Yeah.
So you said you were wondering who would be number 2, and I have
Yeah.
a question about that because a lot of people then turn to Led Zeppelin. I don't know where they fit in all that.
See, I mean, influential, yes, rock and roll all the way, but they're not really metal. They're all.
What about
Oh yeah, man. But they are influencers of metal and started
Yeah.
the sound of metal. Like
Let's say we
Led
established
Zeppelin has to
Black
be on
Sabbath's
there.
the first like true metal
they
band.
stole everything from blues bands?
so did Black Sabbath.
Everybody stole
All
from
their
somebody.
licks were blues.
So who would you say is the second metal band?
I would say Led Zeppelin is number 2.
I wouldn't even count them as a metal.
We defer to
band.
Chris.
Chris,
You
what's the
break up
call?
this argument.
I don't know.
Too much flute.
You know, I go back and forth on Zeppelin being a metal band. They have some metal songs, but
Yeah.
I mean, they also
they
have
do
some
have
really
some sweet
acoustic.
riffs. Yeah, but they
silly
yeah
songs.
exactly. They got
I don't know, man. You're crazy.
and they don't approach fantasy literature in a metal way. It was more of like a fantasy like
So you don't like the lyric content of Led
no,
Zeppelin compared to the
I
lyric
like
content
their lyrical
of,
content, but they
'Cause-
but it's like let's tell about monsters and trolls
There-
with this acoustic guitar.
Well, there's
It's
some
like,
Black
oh,
Sabbath that gets pretty hippie-ish at times.
Oh, that's fine, but it's
They got
that's-
some flutes and some Black
that's-
Sabbath
those
songs
are
too.
the outliers.
Yeah.
What about like an Iron Butterfly or a
When did Iron Maiden
a
start?
mountain?
That's several years later.
Yeah,
but
that's
why
when the
not?
new way of British heavy metal. We're still in the early stages.
See, I'm thinking from my alcohol-soaked
Jimi
brain right
Hendrix?
now. I don't have a computer in front
Do
of
you
me.
think that's metal?
Ooh,
No, I think
Not
he
at
had
all?
some songs
Well-
that contributed, but
yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing is we're used to our metal today, but back then was he considered metal?
Yeah, man. I
Like
think
if you think about him back in the day, was he considered metal? Where people freaked
Purple
out by
Haze
him, like
freaked people. Oh, he burned his guitar on stage. That's metal.
They were most freaked out by that.
he
and
thought it
maybe
was
him
a
being
he
black.
thought he was wrestling a
It's a
snake the
snake.
whole time because he was on LSD.
He was metal as a human being, but he was just trying to play the sickest fucking guitar you've ever heard.
Yeah. So we're not putting Jimi Hendrix on the on Mount Rushmore, Mount Metalmore,
There you go.
or Led Zeppelin.
what
'Cause I
about
feel like-
Priest? I would say Priest.
Oh,
would
yeah,
probably be
for
second. I mean, when did they
Judas
start that?
Priest.
See,
Yeah.
that's the thing. Yeah, I don't know when these people start. I don't have.
And
a-
they-
Well, Judas Priest is a
they-
little farther down the
They're a
line
little
too. but-
further down the line.
very stingy. He's got two computers.
Well, I mean, if
I
we're
got-
going to, well, I got to do a goddamn show here.
yeah.
But if we're going,
Okay.
if we're going to go Mount Rushmore, we should that should cover all of metal, right? Because you throw Metallica up there, right?
Definitely Metallica would be.
I mean,
on
is there a bigger metal band worldwide?
Metallica would
Iron
definitely be
Maiden.
on the Rushmore.
Here's your Rushmore: Sabbath,
Metal-
Iron Maiden,
Mount
Judas
Metal
Priest,
more.
Metallica. There you go.
What'd
Who
you
was
say?
it?
I'd say Sabbath, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Metallica.
That's
There you
where
a pretty good one.
I would be fine with that.
That's a pretty
I
good
would
one,
totally
man.
be fine with
Let's
that.
get out your tools. Let's find some granite.
What about Slayer? You don't think Slayer deserves to be on Metalmore?
I don't
They're
think
fine.
I don't think they're as big as any of the
I think
other four.
Metallica trumps them.
For sure. And I guess it's the same kind of.
Yeah.
You got some thrash
Metallica tried
influences
to
and
make
stuff.
different albums.
The thing
Okay,
is,
now I'll say
you
God
have-
hates us all. Like went a little different.
The thing is, it's 3 British bands and 1 American band.
No,
So
we can't have that
we can't
happen.
have that,
Oh.
right? We gotta take.
Are we not
We gotta
putting?
take the priest out.
If we had to make a decision tonight, are we not putting any hair metal band like Guns N' Roses? Or Guns N' Roses is not really hair metal, but or like Motley Crue? They're not on there.
No.
No. Too much cheese.
Not even a thought.
Not even
I
Guns
like
N'
it.
Roses.
No, I like that.
No.
I mean,
rock and roll was pretty much given to us by the British, anyways. And
Okay,
then we
so what?
had,
What about
No,
Seether?
we had Stooges, MC5. We could
no,
throw some shit in
because
there.
a band before they got real cheesed out towards the end of their career, unless their career's still going, but a band that really influenced American metal was Van Halen.
Oh yeah.
You look at everybody that is an American metal band.
I'd say
And
just
they
as
will
much as
say
like Zeppelin.
Eddie
and
Van
shit like that.
Halen on that first album,
I mean, he made me stop
Just-
listening to Michael Jackson.
it blew everybody's mind. Like,
Yeah.
this cannot be done with a guitar. What is going on? So
Yeah.
I still hate Jump to this day because I'm.
And
just
he
like,
tricked- he
you
started
have one of the
tricking his
best
sound.
fucking guitarists of all time, and I'm hearing dun dun.
I
dun.
love Jump.
I don't, man.
I like songs about suicide.
Is that? Oh shit! It is.
Uh-huh.
I don't listen to lyrics.
You don't have to quit making fun of it, though.
I just hated how I'm like, why are these keys the most prominent part of this fucking Van Halen song? When you have Eddie Van Halen over it, like I think he was playing the keys
It was
on that
the
problem.
80s, man.
Exactly, and that's what. Don't get me started on the 80s.
All right, so if we back up to late 60s, early 70s, we're going to go with Sabbath, Zeppelin, even though they're more rock, but they have some metal stuff in there. They could be an influencer, right?
Oh, they are.
And
Oh, yeah.
then
Blue check mark through and through.
what do y'all say about The Who?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give it to him.
Or it's early. If we're early 70s, when did Kiss fire up? A little later.
A little later.
74. So, what about?
Never been a fan of
Trying to
Kiss.
think of who else.
I
You
just
got,
can't.
like I said, I threw out Mountain. Mountain is referenced in a lot of stuff.
That's because they were
Queen
riffy and
is-
real
is
distorted.
one of the best fucking songs of all
When
time.
was that put out?
Ozzy's
When was
cover of
Mountain
that
around?
is amazing.
Let me look here.
I feel like Mountain was
Late
in the
60s, I would say.
Was it late
Early
60s?
70s,
I
yeah.
thought it was.
I think they played Woodstock.
Mountain did.
So
I
69.
think so.
With a
Oh,
name
really?
like
69.
that, they should have been the first doom metal band. Like if your name's Mountain, that's
Yeah.
that's the most doom metal possible band
And
ever.
Leslie West, a badass.
Yeah.
Was that the
The guitarist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He was bad as shit. So
I need to check out some Mountain just because.
So
it's an amazing name.
yeah.
yeah, the thing about the Who you mentioned the Who is I'm kind of more they did more for hard rock, which I guess hard rock kind of blends into metal than they did metal. But man, Who is such a good band.
I mean,
and there's so many metal bands that were influenced by them.
There's a lot of foundation there for metal with what they were doing and how Pete Townsend was screwing with frequency and feedback.
Yeah.
And
he was
creating distortion when there weren't distortion circuits yet.
He was in the amplification wars for sure.
Yeah.
The battles.
And then
mine's louder.
And then doing shit with syncing guitars with synth.
So do you put
patterns that they're supposed to fuck with your mind?
Do you put Pink Floyd in any of this influencer stuff?
If we go back to when they say like the psych rock influenced a bunch of stuff, then yes, I would put Pink Floyd back there with like the 13th floor elevators and all that.
And what about ZZ Top? I feel like we've neglected them a little bit.
But ZZ Top didn't come out in the 70s, right? Late 70s?
No, man. I thought it was in the late 60s when they started playing, because they started playing, they were in Texas for...
I think their first album was like 73, probably.
Yeah.
Who has a computer?
I'm looking right now.
We could look things up. But
technically, we all do.
I mean,
that
I like winging.
work.
Let's just wing shit. I mean, come on. No, let's see here. The early years were 69 through 72.
Yeah.
First album was 71.
First album 71.
They were do you know it's one thing about ZZ Top that people don't think about is they were big in the psych rock in that Austin scene.
Mm-hmm.
They played a lot of shows with was it the 13th floor elevators? Yeah, 13th floor elevators, and they were just as instrumental in the psych rock as they were the blues stuff. They switched gears when they started tinkering around with their guitar sound, and it started pushing them towards more of the southern metal, or not metal, but southern rock type of bluesy stuff.
I'm singing about pussy.
By the way, great documentary if you haven't seen it. If you want to watch a good feel-good documentary,
really
is the ZZ Top documentary.
Made me go buy a Pog pedal.
Also, that episode of King of the Hill with Hank's
Sorry?
cousin. That episode of King of the Hill with Hank's cousin, who's in ZZ Top.
It's always got to come back to comedy.
Yeah, it's a great show. Mike Judge is perfect.
He is.
So what about like if we're starting to roll into the 70s, you got like Blue Oyster Cult,
Yeah.
Grand Funk Railroad.
For sure,
People that are
Godzilla.
changing things up. You got the MC5s.
It was just
that was
it was
major.
just MC5. The MC5.
Oh yeah, I did say the MC5s yet. Well, I was trying
That's
to.
something Susie would say.
MC5.
They open up for
That's
the B-52s, right? Which B-52s,
I don't
fucking,
know.
everything I've heard from them fucking rocks. Like, I love big
really
B-52s.
does. Thank you.
They're super
they're
influential
great.
in metal.
They should be more. More metal bands need like 2-3 girls or at least 2 chicks, doing harmonies and shit.
All right, so while we're talking about
None of this
Mount
ginger
Metal
shit.
more,
It's a band, not your
now let's put we're about done. I'd say we probably. What do you want to start wrapping it up here in a few? And this
Here
is
shortly, because I'd like to get through the 70s, so that way when we do our next episode, we can
pick it up.
spend a lot of time about the
Rap
the,
metal.
The new wave of British heavy metal,
yeah.
where
Okay.
Judas Priest
Saxon.
Iron Maiden
and Iron Maiden all started coming into play, and how their influence on
Saxon.
American metal,
Yeah.
and how it really influenced all of Europe, because that once the new wave of British heavy metal hit, that is what started going into black metal and your Norwegian death metal.
We can't
Yeah.
forget
And
the
your-
Scorpions.
I'll never forget the
I'm
Scorpions.
pissed that
Well, we got to get to the
Oh,
Scorpions.
I know. I was so pissed that it was the singer's voice. I had tickets to see them and Megadeth. They fucking canceled the show because the fucking Scorpion singer had throat issues.
They sure when
And I was
because
gonna knock
Dave
up-
Mustaine had an issue with someone.
Oh, dude, I wish. I want to see fucking Megadeth so bad. And I was like, Megadeth and the Scorpions on one show?
How's Dave Mustaine doing? Is he
Fine.
got a clean
This was like,
bill of
this
health
was like 2
now,
years
or
ago. Yeah. This was post his,
pre-cancer?
This was post. Yeah,
Oh, it's
so-
post-cancer.
King Crimson.
That's what I.
That's
You
the
mentioned them
70s.
all.
No, you
Yeah, I
did
mentioned
mention
them,
them, but
for sure.
Yeah, for sure, right?
Yeah, especially on the prog side.
Yeah.
And
I was
honestly,
just hitting.
that we're not there yet. I don't think. But Rush had a lot to do with the way things were played.
I mean, what about? I mean, they're Canadian though. Like,
can we?
how do we?
Good point.
How do we feel about Canadians?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Hey, Protest the Hero is a good proggy metalcore band.
But you know, there were two bands that.
Alexis on Fire, good post.
Well, there were three bands in the 70s that started making things really huge. Kiss, which we already talked about. Any fans of Kiss?
No.
Yeah.
You are?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a fan. I mean, I like some stuff. I don't like the stuff that the Eagle used to play.
I like Detroit
3
Rock
times an
City.
hour.
That was a fun movie.
They only played really was the that what was it, the I Want to Rock and Roll, I Want to Rock. They played that a lot, but there wasn't
Yeah.
much. And then they would play that, like, every once in a while there was some 80s shows that was it Dangerous Darren, or someone did one. Someone did one, and they would play some of the cool stuff that Kiss did. I think maybe
I mean,
I'm thinking
there's
of
some deep
Z-Rock,
stuff that's kind of cool.
but
Some deep cuts that are cool.
what
And
about
then
their disco phase? Were you a big fan of that? The Kiss disco?
The only song I liked, I don't even know if this is. I think this is Unmakeup Face. Was the song that went that started off.
I think Lick It Up was on
I got a
Makeup,
body
wasn't
built for speed and an appetite
it?
for passion.
Yeah.
And then the chorus was, I just want to I just want to I just want to forget you.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I love that song. That
How many?
song
They
cracked me
they
up.
did more than one album on Makeup, didn't they? Like, wasn't Lick It Up? I don't think they had Makeup on that, because that was one
Yeah,
of their
they
videos.
did 3 or 4 albums in the 80s that were
Was-
no makeup.
No Makeup, yeah.
What about their solo albums where they each did their own record with their own face on it?
What about Negative Paul Stanley? Are we going to do a show about that?
We need to find Negative Paul Stanley. Does Negative, Positive Paul Stanley is high voiced?
Yeah.
Is Negative Paul Stanley deep voice?
Wait, what is?
It depends.
What is this?
Negative Paul Stanley? You
We're
got to
going
dig
down
deep.
a rabbit hole.
Yeah, don't start that, but you got to dig
Okay,
deep. for some-
so what I was throwing at was Kiss,
Negative Paul Stanley.
and then you had Dio.
Dio, oh, yeah. That's what everybody said Steadfast was, because the dun 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 dun. dun. I'd get so mad. I'd be like, "We're not a Dio cover band."
And then
He's American, right?
another little
Well,
band.
Ronnie James.
Oh, Ronnie James Dio. He was
Yeah,
from
he's from New Jersey.
New
Okay,
Jersey.
Okay.
And then
His band, I
a
don't
band
think-
from down under called AC/DC
Oh, fuck
Ooh, yeah.
started making the rounds.
I would say AC/DC's on the Mount Metal more.
Hey, Chris, do you know why the Eagle always played AC/DC at 6:55 a.m.
Here comes some
every
more
morning?
Eagle complaints.
I had my radio set to my alarm radio set. It was on the Eagle. That was a fuck ton of the Eagle as a kid,
Yeah.
and just to wake up for school. So every morning I'd wake up to an AC/DC song. But it's like I'm waking up. I hate the world because I'm a little angry teenager. I hate the world. I have to go to school. And this what sucks is that it kind of got me off AC/DC because that was the first thing I heard in the
you
morning.
got to hear Russ
'cause
Martin
the
right after
Eagle
that AC/DC
never
song.
liked Russ Martin.
Uh-oh.
But AC/DC was just it was always playing at that
Yeah,
specific
you know what?
time. It was so weird. It just at that time. Like,
Well,
it was
we
so
we
weird.
knew when your alarm was set.
Yeah.
We scheduled that song.
Like,
Like,
this
we're
is-
gonna mess with
Hey,
Brian
Brian,
Breckenridge.
this is
So
for listening
weird.
to the Edge. Yeah,
I'm glad to
fuck
finally
you.
I like
tell
how
you
this
the
show has
true
turned
story.
into the Eagle complaint line.
No,
show by
I just
Brian.
al-
It's
I've
just
never talked to
Breckenridge.
anyone so directly to the source. I've always been curious because I've listened to so much of the Edge and the Eagle.
I didn't know 787 KEGL still worked.
You still calling that line?
still
787.
Yeah.
Oh, I never called.
All the radio numbers were 787.
Oh yeah, they were. Fuck.
See?
Like they were like 214 972. Yeah, 787.
Did you
Holy
ever
shit.
do any
I only
kind of
called them
liners, Chris, that was like, "Hey, Brian, you rock"?
No,
I
my
did a lot of
mom
those
never.
liners.
Yeah.
She never
I don't know
like,
if I did
called
one
in.
for Brian though.
It was so weird. Just every morning, it was just like, I just heard AC/DC like 6:55.
We
7
played a lot
a.m.
of AC/DC.
There was a
and it
lot of
so weird.
AC/DC
It was
on the
just
Eagle.
that time, and I was just like, oh,
Well,
it's AC/DC. Time to wake up
when
and go
there-
to school that I hate.
When there's a format change or something, it was just Hell's Bells for like 9 hours or something like that,
No, it was
or Back in Black or something like that.
No, I thought it was an
an
Eagle
AC/DC.
song. I thought they did what did they do when they made the crossover between the top 40? The first
No, I think
the
it was-
first
I think it
jump
was Eagles-
It was the
Eagles
Eagles.
tunes.
Yeah.
Was it the Eagles?
It was
Okay.
the Eagles, I think, and they just looped it for was it a week or something like that?
Oh, that's
So
right.
they did it for a long time.
I remember that going
Yeah.
on
No.
Facebook.
They used to do cool stunts like
You
that
know-
in radio back in the day.
I always thought that was really cool when out of nowhere you'd be like hearing like, why am I just hearing this one artist or why am I hearing this one song over and over again? And then you wake up the next morning and be like, oh, format changed.
So did
Neat.
you like when the Melvins looped the satanic speech from like Anton LaVey over and over again when the fire marshal was about to shut the show down at Tool?
That was at a Tool
Oh,
concert,
really?
Yeah.
not at a format change for a radio station.
I still thought it was cool.
You kind of connected the thought process there.
Yeah, you're close. I like where
remember,
you're going.
I
with
remember
that.
getting really mad as a kid when it was playing
At the Eagle.
Hell's Bells, and it wasn't For Whom the Bell Toll. I was
Yeah.
just like, oh, is this Metallica or ACD? And I did the wait. I'm just like, fuck, it's ACDC.
All right, Dustin. So tell us the plan. What's the next phase? What are we going to jump into next time we do this?
Let's rip through the new wave of British heavy metal.
All right, sounds
How
like
it
a plan.
affected Europe and how it rolled through, started changing things in America too, because that's when things really started getting changed.
And
up
we all
over
have to
here.
wear cod pieces.
Yes.
And be shirtless.
And Brian will do a section about how it tied into the methodology of Nazis and all that.
That's
right?
more of a punk thing.
Oh, is it? It'd have been funny if I didn't stumble the joke.
Anything else you want to hit up here in
Maybe.
Chris in the 60s or 70s before we call this a wrap for a start?
No, I'm glad we touched on AC/DC. I think that's important. But
Very.
ready for the 80s.
Power metal. That
80s
was
is going to be fun.
AC/DC.
The 80s is going to be fun. And
created
you know what?
power
We could
metal.
probably start
Wearing-
because a lot of what's
I
kind of
say we wear makeup for that show.
for the 80s. We get all
Yeah.
glammed out.
Absolutely.
We all do terrible British accents throughout the entire thing.
I think what's really weird about when the new wave of British heavy metal started coming out towards the late 70s, it also affected the 80s so much. So we can probably touch on a little bit of the 80s going into this, but I think we need to save hair metal for its own show.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
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 definitely.
definitely.
Hair metal's got to
The
have
full
its own show.
80s into 90s and how the rise and how chaotic it was and how
Yeah.
it fell off.
Matt, you'll bring the blow?
Hey,
So that's a look right there at the
Matt
two
doesn't do
future
blow.
shows.
I was talking about blow pops.
As
Okay.
his eyes got
We're gonna
real
have a
gigantic.
sugar high going.
let's go.
Well, Chris,
Just kidding.
I hope this was fun for you.
It was fun.
Are you going to quit immediately? Or are we going to get the, hey, guys, yeah.
Are you just going to end the call right now? Done.
hang up on us?
In meeting. Leave meeting.
Yeah.
We really appreciate you coming on and talking about this with us.
Thank you guys.
And we'll be more organized and prepared for the next one. And
Well,
We're
this
ready.
one's really
not chasing
loose.
comments.
The pro-
Comets.
I'm the only one doing it. You could have done some work.
Yeah, true.
Bam. No,
I
but
just go back to the first show we did on this.
the problem is this beginning is all just kind of all over the place. But now that it's kind of out of the way, we can kind of focus in. And I thought it would be a good intro, just kind of introducing where all our minds are for this and get it
Yeah.
going.
So now we're laser focused.
Now we're going to be
Ready.
laser focused on stuff.
Yeah, this is the Jimmy
it going.
Johnson Cowboys now. We're like, ready to
Yes.
do this.
I watched
We're
the
ready.
92
I
Super
remember
Bowl last
sports.
night.
I remember sports.
Do you remember sports? Do you remember
Is that thing
traveling?
they played?
Do you remember
Yeah.
how much fun it used to be to go watch live music?
Yeah.
Live
Have
music?
a drink
Yeah,
at a
that was
bar.
cool.
It was a good
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Weird.
Eat dinner at a restaurant.
Score
It's
below.
Oh, yeah.
The problem with me drinking
Still
at
do
home
that.
is I don't feel there's a
There's a
regulator.
drug dealer coming to your house, man.
When you go to a bar, you feel like I got to stop drinking because I got to drive home.
Yeah.
But when I'm at home,
You drink way too much.
I don't
Way too
understand
much.
DUIs because it's just like, wait, no, you got to stop at some point to drive yourself home. And you should hopefully know by now as a 30, 40
some people don't
something.
have self-control.
Yeah, well,
Or
they're not,
people
they're
keep
not
buying them
technically
drinks
adults
all night
then.
long.
And they shouldn't be, so they should be more thankful we have these beautiful laws in place where, hey, just drive okay enough.
We'll
can
talk
make it
about
home.
that on the metal and alcohol show.
Yeah.
How alcohol influenced metal.
Alcoholica. Hey,
Yeah.
Influenced metal.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, but this has been great, guys.
It has been great. It's been
I've got a
fun week.
lot of crotch sweat going right now, so I'm
It is
gonna,
hot out here.
I'm
I
gonna say
hope
we
you're
call it
cool,
off now.
Chris, in your little temple.
I might need a jacket. It's a little chilly in here.
Don't brag.
Son of a-
We don't need a braggart on here.
Well, we already
It's
have
right
one.
here for yeah, we've already got one. We don't need another. You
Yeah.
and your AC. How many sets of encyclopedias did you sell for that?
2 or 3.
All right, we appreciate it, man.
Thank you guys.
Yes.
And I guess we'll be back next week, right?
Yeah, play the outro music, man.
And here's the outro music. I don't have any set up. I'll put it in post.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Later.
That's it.
Bye,
We
Chris.
are clear.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, guys, I enjoyed it. So when are we thinking?
In a month.
A month from now. I don't know. What are you thinking? Do we have a
Mid-August?
Yeah,
probably
mid-August.
mid-August.
We'll see if it works. You want to do second or the third weekend?
What week are we in now?
I think we're in the second week of July, right? Or is it the third? Second week of July. I don't know. Don't ask me smart questions.
Let's see. We are today.
You going out of town? Or, well, I guess no one's going on vacation.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny is tonight was supposed to be Motley Crue at Rangers at the ballpark.
Oh, wow.
Really?
The former ballpark was supposed to be that Motley Crue show. Yeah, I was supposed to shoot it.
Damn it.
It's on my calendar. And
Was I going to get to go?
if I
Was that at the new ballpark or the old one?
The old ballpark, because they kind of turned that into a
music venue?
They're going to do music venue and soccer out there, because that's where Guns N' Roses was coming too.
Man, it would have been hot.
Yeah.
It would have been death.
Vince Neil wouldn't have lasted. There's no way he'd have made it through that show.
Well, and this Saturday was Megadeth and Lamb of God at
damn.
by your house.
At the
CNC
Las
Music
Colinas?
Factory.
Yeah. CNC Music Factory.
And then, Guns N' Roses was out there August 18th at the ballpark.
Oof.
And Faith No More, the two-night Faith No More was the 20 and 22nd of August.
Where's that?
That one
gonna
was
be,
in Austin at the F1
yeah.
racetrack, and here at Starplex.
I was looking forward to that so much.
I was too. I gotta take these all off.
Chris, we had tickets to that Rage Against the Machine show up in New York too, at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
And it got
With Run the
X-nayed.
Jewels.
It got X-nayed quick too. It was like
That was one of the first
obviously it was
shows that
new.
got killed
Yeah.
because all these other shows were still open.
I was looking forward to that so much.
And then Ticketmaster came in and said, "We've got to shut everything down."
Yeah, damn it, damn you, COVID.
Crazy.
Maybe one day we'll get to see the the people we like making music again.
In a hurry. Mick Mars isn't long for this earth, I don't think.
Yeah, but we've been saying that for a while now.
What, on
like
Mick
20
Mars?
years now. That Mick Mars is about to be donezo. Did you watch the Netflix show, the movie about them? Was it called Dirt
The
or whatever?
Dirt,
The
yeah.
Dirt. I kind of liked it.
Did you read
I mean,
it?
it had its cheesy parts, but I kind of liked watching it.
Did you read the book? Dirt.
I had the book. I didn't read it.
I got a Judas Priest book I hadn't read yet. Sorry, Marlon. The other thing that is really good is that documentary that ties into a bunch of this metal stuff. Is that documentary that's on Netflix right now about the Rainbow, or is that Amazon?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Is it Amazon?